Okay, getting the first pick. Oh, get three, Pyro, get three with the
Blade Kick putting on a clinic. Whole team's down. Oh!
Welcome back, Tranquility community. Tonight we're bringing you tale of two teams from season 6 in the Tranquility community. You had one team, Rangarok Fenrir. They dominated the Discord tier en route to a semifinals appearance at a preseason championship. The other, Monarch, and they couldn't even manage to win a single game last season. Now, season 7 brings the tides of change, and the paths for these teams has come to meet here in stage 2. And where every match can translate to a significantly better fortune in the playoffs. I'm Mr. Yeti, and I'm bringing you the play-by-play tonight. And joining me to analyze tonight's festivities is Delphi. How you doing, Delphi?
I'm doing pretty well. Really excited for this match, honestly. It's going to be a good one.
Now, it's definitely a tale of two different stories from last season. Let's start it off with Rangarok Fenrir. Obviously, a fantastic team last season. Had a great story the whole way through. That preseason championship as a brand new team kind of came out of nowhere. This season, not going quite as well, but still, they're sitting at a 4-2 record. Things are looking good on this team.
Yeah, 4-2 is definitely really respectable, and a lot of their wins are pretty decisive. So, it seems like they're pretty consistent, and they can keep their team together and keep their mental strong, and can push through pretty much any challenge they see in front of them.
They definitely overcome some big losses in the offseason. They've been doing well this season. Now, going over to Monarch, however, Monarch, a very similar team to last season. The returning mainstay to that team is their DPS player, Storm, who's had a really good season so far. But they also have a longtime member of the Tranquility community in Gizmo Charman, who is still working there on the off tank for this team as well. He's been looking pretty darn good this season. Monarch's sitting 2-4 right now, but they've had a lot of close matches so far.
Yeah, a lot of their matches are 3-1, 3-2. So I'm excited to see if they are able to make this match, as close and see if they're able to pull ahead over Fenrir. The one thing I like about Monarch is they have such a big roster. They actually fill out every slot that they're allotted. So I'm excited to see what kind of changes they can make on the fly and see if they can make those changes to better their play against their opponents.
Absolutely. It's looking really good this season so far. Looks like we had a couple of little audio kerfuffles there, but Booth is working through it. Booth is working on it now. You should see it through the delay if you haven't already. So sorry about that, guys. But we are about ready to get this thing going. We kick off week 2 in stage 2 on one of my personal favorite control maps, and that is Lijiang Tower. I'm a big fan of Lijiang Tower. You get to run a lot of different compositions on it. We see a big variety being played here all the time. What's your thoughts on Lijiang coming in here?
I really enjoyed this map. You see a lot of standard comps like 6-man or Brawl, depending on the one that you're playing, but on all 3 points, you can really run a variety of different things. You have your meta, but you could play off meta and still be successful for it. So I'm excited to see which team chooses what they want to play and if they're able to, diff the other team on either meta or something obscure that we've never seen before.
Now you get to see a lot of variety. It looks like we're kicking off the festivities tonight on the gardens here on Lijiang. And we do have coming in, again, looking at these rosters, you have Lunar Emerald, Gizmo Charman, Storm, Mosaic, Psycon, and CTW rounding out Monarch. And then on the side of Rangarok Fenrir, you're seeing Thorcraft, Seb, a newcomer to the team, Prim, Carlos, Vila, and then you also have Sabotura, a brand new member as well to the Fenrir team. So we'll see how these new players intermix. They got a big task ahead of them coming out here, but the gates are open and we are underway.
It looks like both teams coming out on the standard 6-man comp. However, we have Monarch looking like they're playing with the Reaper, whereas Fenrir is playing more of the Tracer Sombra here. Let's see if Monarch can capitalize on the extra damage that Reaper brings in on their tanks.
Definitely going to have a lot of damage right now. Prim working their way towards that EMP quickly, though, already up to 23%. But Carlos trying to put some damage into that front line right now. Both teams just exchanging a little bit of poke damage. Thor is brought low as well, but Saboteur and Bella are managing to keep him up for now.
Man, Thor ends up going down pretty quick.
Thor does fall for the first kill of the match here, and Lunar is cleaning up here on that Winston. He's already built himself up Primal Rage as well, and CTW also sitting on that Coalescence. Good ult build up here quickly for Monarch. as they look to take back this point. I didn't see that Fenrir did take that point. They got it up to 15%, so not all for loss there for Fenrir.
Yeah, I really like Monarch's patience here. They had the coalescence, they didn't need to commit it, so it's now something that they can actually initiate the next fight with. And they pretty much played slow. They lost point, but they didn't rush to it, and they waited for the opportunity. I believe it was Thorcraft that went down first, and they capitalized on it.
Big 5-man EMP comes in from Prim and sets it up for for Fenrir. Thorcraft cleaning up here on the side of Monarch's side, and Thorcraft putting the damage in. Gizmo gets the remake kill on the Vila. Check that off on your bingo card, folks. Thor does pop the Primal Rage to survive that Death Blossom from Storm. Storm looking to draw it out on the point as well. But it's gonna not all be for naught here, it looks like, as Storm finally is dropped. Gizmo in that baby Diva is eventually dropped as well. The stall is on here from Monarch. They can continue drawing this out. They're already to 50%.
Yeah, I really like the initiation from Fenrir here. You know, Prim obviously scouting out, able to get a 5-man EMP, which is absolutely massive, and the cleanup came pretty simply. But Monarch with the stall, you can see they're playing a lot of fast heroes. They can get back pretty quickly, and they're able to sell out for a lot of percent here, which is really good for them setting up their next fight.
The next fight here, you gotta figure it's gonna come down to Mosaic's EMP versus Vila's sound barrier here. So let's see where we go with this one.
It's gonna be interesting to see, you know, if Mosaic is able to scat out Vela here and see if he can, if they can locate him.
That's a big one here. A big reveal on Mosaic, preventing him from getting set up. And Storm does manage to find Carlos, as Carlos was trying to get in some of that chip damage. I think we've gone through every pronunciation of Vila's name so far tonight. We're going to continue to try to get it right on our side here. Mosaic is hacked out, cannot use that EMP yet. Storm does get the T-Mac on a step. Are they going to need it though? Storm continues to put in a ton of damage right now. Carlos playing some tightrope with the edge of the map there, but managed to stay on as well. Sycon finds Sabotura, and that is going to be enough here. It looks like Monarch has split the point, and they're at 60% and counting.
Yeah, I really like how patient Monarch is playing. They're not letting the clock, you know, they're not letting the clock determine what ultimates they're gonna put in. They're not gonna, you know, try to rush anything. So they're playing really patient. They're looking for opportunities, what I really like. I think Rangarok, Fenrir is playing a little bit quick, and they're trying to force mistakes, but Monarch just isn't able to get it. Now coming up, we do have a little bit of a equal ult economy coming up, so we'll see. They open up with the EMP.
Big EMP. It's countered by an EMP from Prim, but Prim finds 4. Mosaic found 2. But it looks like teams are going to be able to stabilize here as Sycon gets that sound barrier off. Vila does not appear to have gotten that sound barrier. Here comes the self-destruct in for Gizmo Charman. Finds Sabotura and the reback onto Vila, cleaning up the Fenrir support line. That's a big play there. A real momentum shift for Gizmo. It's setting it up for Monarch here, but the trickle is going to be on from Fenrir. And we see Thorcraft dive in. He is taken down as well. Lunar does get manage to finish off Prim, and that's going to be all she wrote from Fenrir on point A as Monarch picks up Gardens.
Monarch is honestly showing so much more discipline over ult usage and cooldown usage than Ragnarok, Fenrir. At the end of the fight there, it was final fight, and they still didn't even commit the Death Blossom from Storm. They were holding it just in case. Usually a lot of teams, we end up seeing them just, you know, panic pressing Q and seeing if they can come up with anything. But I really like how Monarch is playing. They're playing slow. They're looking for opportunities, and I think that's definitely going to give them a big edge over Fenrir in this match if they continue to keep up that consistency.
And right now we move over to Control Center. The Reinhardts pick up their shields. We do see the variant with the Sigma for Fenrir, with Gizmo staying on that Diva, finding all sorts of value so far with self-destructs and remix. You see Monarch does get to the White Room first. It's going to set themselves up nicely here for that Symmetra defense. We see a different look on the DPS lines from both teams. Mosaic and Storm going to put out a lot of damage, with the control from Prim and Carlos could be key here in enabling Thorcraft to get a lot of damage in. As I say that, Gizmo puts the damage through onto Carlos, finishes him off as well. Mosaic puts so much pressure right now onto Fenrir. The health pools for Fenrir dropping so quickly, and it's just too much pressure. And Fenrir falls here on the first fight, and there's the pickup for Monarch.
Yeah, I don't know how much I actually like the comms that Fenrir is running here because they're, you know, they can play a little bit more pokey with the Kree and the Mei. They also have the Sigma that can poke out a little bit more. But if they start to initiate like they just tried to right there, they're just, you know, more often than not, they're going to get rolled over by Monarch because Monarch has the Junkrat and they have the Symmetra that can get the full charge pretty quickly, and that's just way too much damage than their DPS can produce.
Here we go again, another push in from Fenrir trying to get moving forward here. This time they're able to stabilize nicely. They put a ton of pressure on the Lunar Emerald, but the Immortality Field manages to keep them up. Grim does take down Gizmo, going to enable a good start here, but Lunar Emerald finds another one, and Mosaic cleaning up here. The damage is high right now from the side of Monarch, and Fenrir is sent back with the tail between their legs.
We have a lot of ults coming up on behalf of both teams. I imagine Monarch here is going to look for a tire to open up, and I hope that it's the only thing they actually end up using, because tire is a win condition in of itself. It looks like they are going to, it looks like Fenrir is going to be trying to route through White Room. Let's see if they can utilize May Wall here.
We see the lift come in, the Gravitic Flux from Seb. It only manages to get Lunar up into the air, and it does a lot of work though. Mosaic watching the tire, roll it into Fenrir, and that's a 4K for Mosaic. A huge high value kill for Mosaic. He's looking to clean it up, gather the 6K, but he cannot. Huge play for Mosaic, locking up 4, and that's going to set up Fenrir in last fight territory.
Yeah, we are coming up on last fight, but Fenrir has 5 ultimates on board, and it looks like they're just going to go in and press Q and see how many they can get. They commit the beat to start out.
They commit the beat to start out here. The self-destruct is committed by Gizmo. Does not find anything, and it's press Q and win for the side of Fenrir. They're putting a lot of pressure on, and it's just far too much for Monarch, and finally Fenrir has control here on Control Center.
You know, this is actually looking pretty good for Monarch because Fenrir ended up using 5 ultimates. So now the ult economy is kind of leveled out a little bit, whereas going into that fight, Fenrir had 5 versus 1 ult on the side of Monarch. So now it's a little bit even, and if I was Monarch, I'd be happy about that. They can go in, commit the window, and see if they can get any picks to rush in and finish it up.
Look for the flame strike window here, but CTW dropped quickly by Carlos, sniping CTW out of the hallway there, and the damage now is pouring in from the side of of Fenrir, and that's going to send Monarch back, clipping the wings there for just a moment. 42% and counting. Things are starting to shift a little bit here for Fenrir, but we do see 2 big ultimates now coming up for Monarch.
They are coming up on the Rip Tire as well, which, like I said before, and as Mosaic has proved, it is a very big win condition. Let's see if they're able to get another 4K with it, or even 1 or 2 is big enough to get an entry pick and turn a fight. Let's see what they do here.
Right now they're shuffling through that tiny stairwell, a dangerous position to be in. We see the Earth Shatter come in, does not connect, but the Rip Tire does find Carlos and Thor, and puts Lunar Emerald, puts Saboteur on the ground as well. Monarch with 3 down already. Break that board and Mosaic finds Mila, and that's gonna be doing it here for Monarch. They're gonna manage to flip this point in just a moment, and then they do, and here comes the overtime clock.
Ayla does have the beat coming up here. Let's see if they are able to get it and use it on point to stall out, but it looks like they aren't able to get on.
That was an unfortunate wall. I think he actually zoned out Thor a little bit, and that's gonna be Lijiang Tower going the way of Monarch, which may have been a little unexpected, but Monarch coming ready to play here tonight.
Yeah, it looks like Monarch is very prepared here, and honestly, I don't see any player that isn't necessarily doing what they're supposed to. You know, the tanks are making tons of space to open up for the DPS. The TPS are creating a ton of damage, and the supports are doing a great job of keeping their tank line up. I believe I saw Monarch's Ryan go down a little bit and get very low on one of those fights, but the immo comes out, all the healing comes out, the BAP left shift, and you know the Ryan is able to stay up and complete the fight. So honestly, I think Monarch right now is just looking more consistent. Fenrir, I think, is getting a little ahead of themselves. They're trying to force engages without waiting out cooldowns. But you know, I think Fenrir has what it takes to level out this playing field a little bit, but Monarch just looking significantly more consistent right now across all roles.
And it's worth noting, Fenrir did pick up 2 players just yesterday, so they are working perhaps with a little bit of a new roster. We all know that coordination can be such a big part of Overwatch. Coming in with but it was a really strong performance overall from Monarch in general. They looked great. They looked fantastic. Gizmo looked really, really strong on that. Honestly, the whole tank line between Lunar and Gizmo played fantastic that whole map.
Yes, I completely agree. But I have no doubt that Fenrir is going to be able to stabilize. I think they're kind of getting used to their prey a little bit.
That 4K. That 4K.
Absolutely
I'm sorry.
Massive. that's bigger than anything I could do.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's Mosaic definitely showing they have the skill on the Junkrat there and able to produce a lot of damage for their team. But I think Fenrir is just trying to get used to their opponents, and I don't know if they're going to be able to. Monarch has a pretty big roster, like I said, so they could be making changes and playing comps based off of the players that they have in that completely change how Fenrir has to adapt to their team. And it's going to be interesting to see how Monarch uses that, but I have a lot of faith in Fenrir to be able to make this a little bit closer, but Monarch definitely looking like they're on top right now.
See a lot of changes. Again, we talked about there's a big roster for the side of Monarch. You're going to see that same tank line, Lunar and Gizmo staying in, but we're seeing Guwo, we're seeing Hanzuki, and we're seeing Milk Lover. It's a complete support line shift for Monarch, and we see with Fenrir just making one change, taking Vila out and putting in Gusty on that support line. So a couple of changes coming in as we head over to now Volskaya. Which is it's 2CP. We tend to look past it, but 2CP is not much longer for Overwatch, thankfully, for everyone except NPC, who's the only person I know who enjoys this stuff. Somehow I don't understand it yet, Delphi, but Fenrir's got to come out and respond. What would you like to see them do differently here, coming into Volskaya?
I'd like to see him just kind of slow down a little bit and look for cooldown usage from Monarch. Look for opportunities to engage that aren't just WM1 and using all of your own cooldowns. I like I said earlier, I really like how Monarch has been playing very disciplined, but they changed up half of their players just right now. So we'll see if Monarch can even keep their consistency that they had last map. And if they're even able to adapt to what Fenrir has coming out. Looks like Fenrir right now is currently locked to a dive with the Tracer and an Echo. Echo can be very dangerous to an enemy support line, so we'll see if Prim is able to get a lot of value on that hero. And we have Monarch sitting on the Brawl right now, so if Brawl against dive, if you're not peeling for your supports, your tanks on the Brawl team are just going to be sitting in choke while everybody in the backline is getting dove. We have to see a lot of rotations on behind of Monarch here to see if they can help assist with their backline here.
All right, Monarch here coming out again on that Rhine on the full Brawl here. We see a completely different look though, looking kind of more of just a traditional dive here from Fenrir. So I like the composition for Fenrir, but look at the aggression from Monarch. They are not pulling any punches. Lunar finds themselves pushing to the spawn door nearly, and that's just gonna immediately end this already.
I absolutely love how Monarch set that up. Normally when you're playing some kind of brawl, it's difficult to get all 6 players in the same place. Usually you might have your supports back a little bit. I really like how Monarch is sticking together as 6 against a dive comp. They should on paper be able to win a lot of these fights unless they make one big mistake.
Absolutely, they're putting themselves in a good spot. They're holding the choke close. Carlos is pushing on the point though. That's gonna force Monarch to split up just a little bit. The damage is starting to come in now from Prim and Carlos. So putting a little bit of pressure on this Brawl who's trying to stabilize. Lunar is brought low, but they do manage to find a kill onto Gusty. That is going to put Monarch back in the driver's seat here, as Thor is also having to peel back as well. Lunar again is just blood hungry, finding himself running through the choke, looking for anybody to swing that rocket hammer through.
I'm really looking forward to Prim's copy here and seeing if they, more than likely they're going to be copying the Ryan. They'll see if they can out-brawl Lunar here, and it doesn't look like.
But what a quick kill from Gusty onto Hanzuki, and that's going to put Monarch back on the rope. They flee back to point. We see the amplification matrix in from Prim. Prim copying the back piece I don't know if that was intentional, but they're making it work. It's the Blizzard invested by Storm. I don't think that's the play. They're going to really miss that here come point B. And it looks like Fenrir is going to clean up and take point A.
Storm was able to freeze, I believe, 4 or 5 of Fenrir on the point there, but you know, it doesn't really matter because you're not going to be able to get all that damage out in time. So Storm ends up switching to the Reaper. Let's see if they are able to contest the tank line a little bit more, but I really like how Fenrir engaged there. I think the copy on the map may have been a mistake, but it ended up working in their favor because they had that second mortality, they had the extra heals, they were able to keep everybody up in the middle of that brawl.
We see the nice spread out engagement coming here from Fenrir, looking for a window of opportunity to pounce on Hanzuki. However, is trying to set up that Deadeye. We see the self-destruct come in from Seb, not finding any targets there. Right now, Milk Lover pops the amplification matrix to put some pressure back onto Fenrir. Fenrir having to peel back to that high ground area right now. The aggression is just, I love how aggressive Lunar Emerald is playing right now. Just getting right up in the face of Fenrir, just pulling no punches at all.
Yes, 100%. Playing with an aggressive Ryan is definitely difficult if you're not prepared to you know, peel for them or hard pocket them if you're one of the supports. But you know, as we see right now, an aggressive Ryan is definitely just gonna outplay pretty much most teams as long as you have the team that can back it up.
Gizmo and Lunar and the rest of Monarch just sweeps through Fenrir. And Fenrir right now, they do have 4 ults coming back, but it's not like Monarch's sitting without any check marks themselves. They're going to be sitting on 3 here once Milk Lover finishes off that application.
Yeah, the ult economy is definitely very similar here. Let's see if Carlos is able to get an opening pick with the pulse bomb, but they're going to be spotted out by Storm here pretty early. Going to be forced out, and you know, Lunar's going to take this opportunity and start walking in with the rest of their team.
All right, we see the self-destruct invested here from Gizmo. Managed to pull Prim out of that copy. Kills are being traded, but the trades are going to definitely continue to work in the favor of Monarch here. Prim gets another kill on the Lunar, but there's just no forward momentum, it seems like, right now for Fenrir.
I don't think they were anticipating Monarch playing this brawl so close to choke because they don't even have any room to get in. You know, if I was Carlos here, I would be trying to poke out I'd be trying to poke out Monarch's backline a little bit, trying to create some space that their tanks can't make, because their tanks are trying to face tank into Storm on a Reaper. So if the Tracer is able to force people back, then you know, Fenrir might actually have some room to breathe here.
And right now we do see, it looks like Monarch is peeling back, giving some space for Fenrir. We'll see if this changes Fenrir's fortunes here. We see the amplification matrix with the flame strike, not finding any target. Primal Rage now put in by Thor, and the massive Earth Shatter from Lunar is going to clean up here for for Monarch. And Fenrir again just not able to get anything going on point B.
This isn't necessarily bad for Fenrir, however, because they do have the Pulse Bomb, they do have the Diva Bomb, they're halfway to Nano and halfway to Copy here, so they have a lot of ults to work with. Actually, they end up making some comp changes, so now they only have the Diva Bomb starting out here. So it looks like they are going to an Orisa Diva comp, which is definitely good if you want to play a comp to just stand still and you know, dish out a lot of damage, and they recognize how quick Monarch is playing, and if they can walk into that Orisa and they can get a huge anti off, you know, I believe that they're able to turn a fight just off of anti alone if they can get it off.
Seb looking for an opportunity to pop that self-destruct. Thor setting up on the high ground. Sorry, now shifting down to the low ground. It looks like with the rest of Fenrir just forcing. Look at the way that they're forcing Monarch back finally here. The Monarch is itching to get back into the fight. Here they go. The copy now from Prim is going to set it up here. Lunar Emerald is now in the corner, but it looks like Prim taken out. But Seb finds 3 with a huge self-destruct. It's actually 4, pardon me, including the D-Max. And Seb's self-destruct is going to finally set up Fenrir here to get some point ticks going on to point B. And it looks like they might. Are they going to finish the job here? They are. What a play by Seb, setting up Fenrir, and you gotta love the changes they made.
I saw Prim make the copy on the Rhyme. They had Shatter. As soon as they hit the Q button, they ended up getting out of copy, which is really unfortunate. And you know, everybody says that Echo's super broken, can copy a tank and get tank ult in 2 seconds, but you also have to rely on your DPS being able to play that tank hero. You know, not every time you copy another hero, you can actually flex to that hero. Which I'm not saying Prim can't, but you know, it just wasn't in the best opportunity to get that shatter. But it doesn't matter because Seb comes up with the 4K on the Diva Bomb, which is absolutely massive, and made the space that the team tried to make with the Rhine copy initially.
All right, and here we setting up for the defense here. Fenrir finally getting that point B. They did get it with 31 seconds, so as long as Monarch is able to get a cap in here, we will be going to extra Overwatch on this point here on Volskaya. But you got to figure right now, we're in good shape. You know, if you're Monarch, you got to be pretty happy. You just do. You've got to be pretty happy with holding off that one for as long as you did. But now you just got to get the job done. And are we being trolled?
I hope not. Honestly, I love the Bastion pick. It's always unexpected, and you know, it dishes out a ton of damage. I would love to see more of it in Overwatch, but people think it's a troll pick, and it looks like they were trolling us a little bit. We are going to the Tracer.
The Tracer comes out now for Storm. I saw a Genji for a second there. I also got excited.
Storm playing Mystery Heroes.
But we see us dive with the Soldier 76 now for Monarch, and it looks like a double shield variant. I'm sorry, an Orisa Diva variant here coming out. Not double shield, pardon me. From I see Orisa, I think that's from Fenrir, and but that's a lot of poke damage from Prim and Carlos here. It's going to be tough for Monarch to stay and dive.
Definitely. I would love to see Hanzuki on some kind of off angle here to, you know, force out the supports a little bit, force some cooldowns just from dishing out that damage to make a little bit of space for Monarch to push in. Looks like Fenrir is going to give them a little bit of space to run up through that left staircase. And let's see if they're able to capitalize on this. But Fenrir is seeing this and already making the transition and flipping the map a little bit so that way they can still have this map position.
See the dive in from Lunar without much help from the team here. Lunar is forced back almost immediately. They are starting to put progression onto the point here. We see the drop down. Lunar is in deep trouble right now, but he's also deep in the back line for Fenrir, finding Carlos. Zeb also removed from the mech and removed from the map. Lunar right now putting a lot of pressure onto Fenrir, pardon me, and that's going to be enough to set it up here for a point A take for Monarch.
I absolutely love that Lunar is not scared to jump into the middle of an Orisa and a Diva and a Brig and a BAP, and they are honestly somehow able to keep alive for that entirety of that fight and really not go down. We saw Milk Lover go down pretty early, but it really didn't matter because Lunar was still able to stay alive and get a few kills there and open it up for their team.
Open it up nicely indeed. Lunar is dropped again. The poke damage is significant for Fenrir here, so they can pressure this choke extremely well with that Hanzo, with that Ashe. And we see Carlos right now is sitting on one Mr. Robert, and he is going to really help lock down this point.
This is a situation where you really don't want Carlos to poke too much here because you may be able to get a pick, but you're also feeding Milk Lover's Nano. So I believe that's what Monarch is doing right now, is they're just taking the poke and playing for Nano. And one thing that I say in my games is, you know, don't poke too much because you're just gonna feed the enemy team Nano. So.
And here we go. Lunar Emerald is now in the fray. He pops the Primal Rage, but he is taken very low as the support duo for Fenrir puts a lot of damage out. 77 health, and he is just left after that Primal Rage. The eat from Seb onto Gizmo's Brav is going to set up Fenrir here, but the kills are continuing to come in now for Monarch. But
There was
we're trading them off here as the Dragon Strike comes through. And Fenrir finally stabilized.
Yes, there was a lot of ults committed on both sides. Both of them don't really have any ultimates coming up whatsoever, but I'm really honestly surprised Fenrir was able to stabilize that. They didn't have the numbers at all, but they had Prim up, they had Gusty on the Brig, and they were able to stabilize. They did commit the Dragon Strike to it, which I believe got one, and you know, it's the 2CP nature, right? You get a few picks, but it doesn't matter because they're back in 6 seconds anyways.
And here we are with Fenrir setting, I'm sorry, with Monarch setting back up on the high ground, continuing to ride with this Ryan Diva comp. They are not abandoning this one quite yet, despite the amount of pressure that Fenrir is able to put into them. Prim is putting in so much damage on this Hanzo. Is already almost built up to another Dragon Strike, which is just insane to think about. They just used it at the end of the last engagement. They're probably going to build one up in the middle of this fight as well.
I 100% agree. I was just about to say, if they can get in position, if they manage to get behind that Orisa shield. But Lunar is absolutely just pushing in, balls to the wall, running into the enemy spawn here. Let's see if they're able to pick up some of these kills with the Lucio speed as they're pushing in.
Lunar's aggression is insane, my goodness. But it does enable the kill on the Gusty, and that's going to put Monarch back in the driver's seat on this point. We see Prim and Seb dropped as well as Hanzuki pops the tack visor, and the damage, the aimbots are on right now for Hanzuki. Somebody check that man's aim out here. But that's just going to be enough, and Fenrir falls as Monarch takes it. They had 2 minutes and 23 seconds, now rounded up to 2 minutes 54 seconds with the time adjustment. But my goodness, Monarch, the rotations on their brawl was just fantastic.
I 100% agree. I think that some of these rotations are a little unnecessary, in my opinion, because, you know, they ended up going from that top left high ground that we just flew by all the way around through the high ground and out of that room where the I guess the little platforms rotate from. And they don't necessarily have to do that. They could have rotated in through bottom left, but it ended up working out because they forced Fenrir to rotate completely out of the map as well. So it's kind of like herding sheep, right? You want them to get into a position where you can capitalize on it. So, you know, in the end, it ended up working out. Fenrir ended up going where Monarch wanted them to, and they corralled him into a corner. And then we had Lunar just walk into them swinging, able to get a ton of kills, apply a lot of pressure. And, you know, the 5 other people from Monarch are just sitting right behind them, giving them all the support that they need to WM1 as Reinhardt, which is ultimately the dream as a Reinhardt player, am I right?
It really is. It really is the dream. I'm not doubting that for a minute. But you gotta say, it's working out so far. You know, a lot of people look at this map, they definitely don't see it as much of a Reinhardt map, but Monarch looking to buck the trend here, it seems, and trying to keep things moving in their favor in this one. They got 2 minutes and 54 seconds, but they got to work through this minute defense against Fenrir here right now. And Fenrir rolls out on a brawl of their own, so we see similar comps now for both teams, and they go to war right at the choke. Thor getting frozen out, but we see the freeze on the Lunar first, and Lunar's the first tank to fall. That's going to set Fenrir up nicely here to take point A. Prim putting lots of damage on the Storm, and that's going to help pretty much with the exclamation point for Fenrir here on point A, and that's a big take considering the pressure that they were under.
I think someone on Fenrir has a little notepad out with a pen and taking notes on how Monarch is playing, and Monarch is playing Rush and trying to just overwhelm Fenrir's backline, and Fenrir's like, hey, I just witnessed that and it worked really well on us. I'm gonna do it too. Copy paste, right? So they ended up walking into Monarch and taking out Lunar pretty early. Lunar did commit the immortality a little bit earlier, so it ended up working in the favor of Fenrir.
And Lunar gets walled away from the team almost immediately, but the immortality field does manage to keep them up for a little bit longer. But Prim finds Milk Lover. That's a big source of heals now down for Monarch. Fenrir does push onto the point here as their main tank is dropped as well. Sound barrier in from Gusty, and Prim gets the D-Mech on the Gizmo, and Monarch right now is really struggling to find an answer to this counter brawl here from Fenrir.
It is an absolutely massive
Oh, and the Blizzard
brawl
got
they have.
eaten from Storm. My goodness.
That was pretty much their only stall potential there. They don't really have anything. They don't have Primal coming up. They do have Diva's out of mech, kind of close to ult, but it doesn't matter because Fenrir is going to be able to take this point. You know, I believe it was Storm on the Mei. No, wait, I'm looking at the wrong team. But the Mei on Fenrir ended up getting a massive wall. Yes, Carlos ended up getting a massive wall onto Lunar, and was able to get them out of position when all of Monarch was sitting in that mega room we're looking at. So Lunar ended up getting walled out from there, and they applied so much pressure that Monarch had to use the immo and commit the immo really early. Fenrir ended up having the immortality advantage, which ended up working in their favor.
I like the strategy change we're seeing from Fenrir. They're kind of recognizing that, hey, our brawl is pretty darn good. We can take it to these guys. And it looks like right now they are. They got 2 minutes and 54 seconds, though, so you can't count out Monarch. We could be looking at one of those classic 2 CP moments here on Volskaya. So we will see what happens going through the rest of this map, but you gotta love the position you're in right now. If you're Fenrir, they gotta be feeling confident. The first real momentum swing in their favor today.
Yes, and we see them sticking with the brawl. I think it's because they assume that Monarch is going to be coming out on the brawl again, because that's all they've done for every point of this match. But it looks like Monarch is setting up on the 2CP with the Kree and the Soldier. So we'll see if they can capitalize on some of this damage, and we'll see if Fenrir is able to just walk into Monarch here. I believe if they are able to walk into them, they should have the advantage.
I do like the compositional advantage here for Fenrir, but can't count out Monarch. We can't count out Monarch. Storm and Hanzuki putting in a lot of damage here. Fenrir right now is rotating through that small mini room. We see a good wall from Carlos. Carlos is forced to use their cryo freeze to stay alive. So right now it's a good spot for Monarch. They're holding that choke tight, but you'd like to see them go you'd like to see Fenrir get a little bit more aggressive.
If I was Monarch here, this is when I would take the opportunity to push in, because Fenrir ended up using Wall and Immortality pretty early and got no value from it. So if I was Monarch, I would definitely be pushing in, which looks like it is something that they are able to do right now.
They did not get that engagement trigger, though, and Fenrir is going to answer here with Thor finding Storm, and now here comes the damage from that brawl comp as the death ball, rolls through Monarch, and that's just far too much pressure. Hanzuki does pop the ultimate, but does find himself in the drink as well. Does take out Carlos, though, so that's going to be a little bit of a slowdown here, as Fenrir is going to have to go taxi them back.
And it does look like Monarch is switching to the brawl, and if hopefully they're able to get there in time before Hanzuki and Guwuatin are able to get back, which they might be able to if they go right now, and it looks like they are going to, so they could possibly take this as a 6v4. It actually looks like they're getting back right now, so it should be an even 66 here.
Even 66, but here comes the lift, the big Gravitic Flux from Gizmo Charman takes Prim out of the fight. Prim not able to stay alive, but we see the self-destruct invested from Seb. We've seen it have high value before, and again! Seb finds 3 of Monarch, and Monarch again, the wings clipped from Fenrir, and Fenrir has all the momentum in their favor now, but we do see some kills trading, some nice exit picks for Monarch, so Monarch not necessarily in the weeds just yet.
I absolutely commend Seb here. They are doing so much work on the Diva. They're eating May ults, they're getting 2K, 3K bombs, absolutely opening up, or 4K even earlier, absolutely opening up and making a ton of space. Seb is just definitely outclassing Gizmo, in my opinion, in terms of the amount of value that they're getting on the Diva.
Right now, Seb doing fantastic work. Stormcraft with the Earth Shatter, and it's
Absolutely
huge!
massive.
Setting it up for, but Lunar answers. What an answer for Lunar Emerald. That's going to enable Fenrir, that's going to enable Monarch, pardon me, to push in. They got 15 seconds left. The kills are being traded, but Monarch right now has got to be seen as the favorite to push through and finally take point A.
And this goes back to the discipline that Monarch has been showing all match so far. You know, they get massive shattered, they get a few they get picked a few, but they, I imagine their comms right now are just winnable, 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 and they are able to commit a little bit of ults, a little bit of cooldowns, and they're able to win the fight, which is absolutely massive. Even though you're down a few does not mean the fight is over. If you look for an opportunity to turn it, take it.
They have one opportunity to push in here. They're very close to that Blizzard. You got to figure that's going to be the key ult coming back here from Fenrir. You see their their pulse bomb, and you also see the amplification matrix from Sabotura. So Fenrir's not exactly in a bad spot here. You see this amplification matrix up, but Monarch runs right through it. Prim looking for the stick, cannot find it, only finds the defense matrix, and Monarch finds 3 kills already, 4 kills now, and Monarch looks to finally be setting themselves up here as Storm finishes off Prim. And right now the team kill horn goes off, and it's gonna be point B taken, and here we go, we have some 2CP magic tonight, folks.
Absolutely massive shatter coming out on behalf of Lunar here. Definitely proving that they are the most superior main tank in these last 2 matches, and let's see if they are able to keep that consistency up as we go into the 5th round of Volskaya Industries here. You know, 2CP, kind of not everybody's favorite map, so I'm sure everybody's like, oh, let's get to the payloads already, but this is absolutely an entertaining match to watch and commentate, so I'm happy it's going to more because it's so close, and Fenrir definitely turning it around from the first map, from Lijiang Tower, and, you know, proving that, hey, look, we can do what you're doing, and we, you know, we can do it just as well as you can.
Fenrir looking really good, but Monarch has a little bit of positive momentum in their corner now. So you gotta like the position for both these teams. I think we might be looking at some draw Skya here, but you never know. It could go either direction, but Fenrir is gonna have to set the tone on offense here first. And this has been a fantastic Volskaya. Both teams clutching up at big times. We've seen Lunar come up big. We've seen Storm come up big. We saw that huge self-destructs from Seb now on 2 separate occasions. You just gotta love what you're seeing. Players coming up clutch. It's kind of Overwatch you love to see.
Exactly, and if I was Monarch here, I would be looking to hold that choke pretty close, which looks like is what they are doing, and they're just gonna try to body block a minute, you know, a minute off of the clock here, and see if they can keep Fenrir in the choke as much as they can without taking too much damage and going down.
Here we go again, Fenrir and Monarch, the heavyweights await to sit here under the archway, and here we go. The wall is put in by Carlos, walling Lunar Emerald away from the team. The Immortality Field, though, keeps Lunar Emerald afloat just for a moment. You see the Immortality Field from both the Baptistes. The Reinhardt swinging a hammer through each other, and Thor is the first to fall, but Lunar falls as well. The Reinhardt strayed, and that's going to work in the favor of Fenrir, as more than likely we will see the return of Thor, as Prim gets the pick onto Guwo, and that's going to set up Monarch. Set up Fenrir nicely here to potentially take point A, where we continue to stay down here on point A. It's not set yet.
This is an absolutely close brawl. Like, this brawl doesn't get any closer. Both teams lose the Rhine pretty much at the same time. Both teams are committing the wall and the Immortality pretty much at the same time. You know, Fenrir does find a few extra picks from, you know, Monarch being slightly out of position, but in terms of actual skill and the level of commitment from each team, they are so matched here. It's like they're playing their, like a mirrored self of the, it's like they're playing their mirror. It's an absolutely close brawl. This is honestly probably one of the more entertaining brawls that I've watched.
Here we go again. Lunar sitting on that Earth Shatter. It is blocked by Thor. Thor comes up big. We see the application matrix in. Seb finds Hanzuki. The kill's already coming out now for Fenrir. You have to get on the point, however. Blizzard is put in by Storm. That's going to slow things down, but the Blizzard also invested by Carlos. And Seb again finds another 3 with the self-destruct. Delphi, what is happening?
This is absolutely crazy. Seb putting their team on their back and just, you know, utilizing everything to D.Va's kit here to just destroy the competition. And, you know, we've been complimenting Lunar the entire time with the amount of shadows they get, and now Fenrir's tank line is just saying, no, it's your turn to fall over. It's your turn to get D.Va bombed. It's absolutely crazy. Seb with these bombs, it's like watching Poco.
Oh, 2CP lol. Can I get like at least 10 or 15 people typing 2CP lol in chat right now? Because I know this is on a delay, but in 2 minutes I want to see it. I'm going to feel real good. We'll still be here in 2 minutes, I have a feeling, guys. So.
I'll pull up the stream so in 2 minutes
yeah,
I can type 2CP lol on
it.
This is an absolutely crazy match.
Yes, it really is. I was watching chat and I saw somebody made the comment, it's like the tanks stopped caring about their team and just started brawling. And it was in reference to a fight a couple of rounds ago, but at the beginning of that round, Thor and Lunar just kind of separated off from their team, and they were just swinging through each other, and they ended up trading. But it was just crazy to see these two heavyweights just going at it. And you gotta figure this is whatever your Reinhardt v Reinhardt, it's a bit of an ego thing, you know, because it's gotta be an ego thing. Am I wrong on that, Delphi? Like I know.
You are 100% correct. It's about who can get the most damage, the biggest shatter, you know, blocking the enemy Reinhardt shatter is the best feeling in the world. It's like a straight shot of dopamine to the brain whenever you block that shatter, and then you instantly turn around and get a 5 or 6 man shatter of your own. It's absolutely an ego thing we have going on right now, and both Reinhardts showing a lot of you know, commitment and a lot of damage being put out by each one.
Here we go. We see the setup right now from Fenrir. They're going to speed right into him, and the brawl is on again. Lunar Emerald is kept up by that amplification, sorry, by the mortality field, but here we go again. The heavyweight fight is on. Thor is brought low. So is
Thor shatter already.
Shatter. Thor comes you with a bigger shatter, takes Lover out, but Henzuki finds Thorcraft, and Zeb is taken out of mech as well. There's no tanks now, and Monarch, they're in a good spot all of a sudden, but Carlos and Prim are finding the big kills.
Thor already 10% on the next shatter. Oh, we ended up swapping to the ball here, but you know, Lunar is only 60% to theirs.
What a spot to be in right now if you're Fenrir. They're 5 seconds away from finishing this off. And we see the Lucio just barely get in, but Guru pays with their life. And here we go. The trickle comes out now for a Monarch trying to find a way to will this. There comes Lunar! And Lunar just comes in just like a... Oh man, he came in like he was late for a test, I swear. That was crazy.
This is why the Reinhardt tank skin, or the Reinhardt train skin, is so important, because that's literally all you do when you hit left shift, right? You're like a train coming through, nothing can stop you. You're just plowing through whatever is in your path, and that's pretty much what is happening here. You know, these main tanks, when you have aggressive main tanks, you have to be able to trust that your team is behind you, because the last thing you want to do is turn around and realize that there is nobody else on your team behind you and you're just feeding. But it's not feeding if you're all feeding together. If all 6 players are in, then that's a brawl, and that's what we're seeing here with Fenrir versus Monarch. Both tanks going really aggressive, and both teams honestly being able to keep up with their main tanks. It's something that's really hard to do unless you're super coordinated, and honestly, Fenrir and Monarch are just outclassing each other every round. Every round they're like, no, you Uno reverse card, I can do this better, watch me do this better. And it ended up working out for Fenrir here because they were able to take the map against Monarch.
Just fantastic tank play throughout so far. Carlos and Prim stepped up though this last map here. They looked fantastic on the May and the McCree especially. We saw a lot of great plays from both of them, but the tank play from both teams continues to shine and steal the show tonight.
Seb's Diva bombs are absolutely massive. I can't get over it.
I don't understand it. Seb is finding all the value in the world right now with those bombs. Guys, that was 6-4 on 2CP. I'm exhausted. Like,
I need a drink. I might go get myself some Arizona on halftime, because geez, there's that 4K again on the Diva, or the 3K on for Seb's Diva bomb. Absolutely massive value.
I'm going to go pour myself a drink, chat. I hope you do yourself the same. NA, of course, non-alcoholic. I mean, come on. This is a family show, guys. Family show. It's a Thursday. Come on, what are you doing? But come on. What are you doing?
I mean, I took off of work tomorrow for Battlefield, so...
All right. Delphi's drinking with the chat tonight, everybody. So we'll be right back here after halftime. Be back in about 10 minutes, guys. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. I don't know about you, but I could use a nap right about now. But after that first round, we had the 30-minute Volskaya. That seemed like it would never end, but it finally came to an end. A 6-4 for Ragnarok. Delphi, it's been a night, but the tank play is just shining for both teams.
I'm so happy it went to a 1-1 because that means potentially a map 5 situation. It's more likely, and I'm really excited for that. As much as it is taking a lot of energy out of Yeti and I to cast this because of how awesome this match is. I am very excited to see it continue. It's honestly most games you can tell if there's a big tank diff right now, or watching them, but right now it is absolutely so even. Like, it doesn't get more even than this. Seb pulling out a lot of big plays as the off tank for Fenrir, but Lunar coming in and just hard WM1 with this team on his back and doing a ton of damage and getting a ton of utility. Thor being able to match that even last map on Volskaya Industries and turn it around doing the same thing. I'm absolutely loving the tank play on both sides of these teams.
Teams right now just coming back from halftime. I'm sure they're probably a little bit worn out as well. That last map was a slog, but we saw the matchup between Thor and Lunar just shining there. And I shot a message off to Thor and I asked him about that. Asked him about the Rhine switch, and he said you could only have a shiny metal thing in your face for so long before you need to answer back with your own. So
absolutely.
Looks like Thor decided to go that route today, and I paid off. I love the change. It made the aggressive change was a big part of it, and looks like now we're going to come back out. Monarch has the pick, and they're flipping the script a little bit and heading to Numbani.
Not a typical brawl map we see, except kind of on point 3. Usually most teams will swap to the brawl, but here, usually most on point 1 and 2, we see a dive, so we can see if either team are able to match each other on the dive heroes like they have been on the brawl since map 2 here.
Right, I definitely like the choice of Numbani from Monarch because I think they recognized Fenrir coming out on that brawl. They were matching the intensity, and I think now switching over to Numbani, it's going to kind of force a change in the hand for both teams, and it's going to kind of reset the field a little bit. We're 1-1 though. The field is basically even as it sits. So it's a good spot right now. If you're Monarch, you got to be loving where you're at right now. Fenrir, same for them though. That the answer to come back on that map was huge for them. We see no changes for Fenrir on this map. We see bringing back in Mosaic, Psycon, and CTW for Monarch. So coming back in with that same roster that netted him that first map win. So a couple of changes coming in here for Monarch. You've got to figure, again, on Numbani, you can see a lot of gimmicks on this first point as well. They can hold that high ground really aggressively with a brawl comp even. You can also run like a Torbjorn. You can even run a Bastion successfully here. And it does look like we're going to get the Torbjorn with the double shield on defense here from Monarch. So a different look coming out here from Monarch this time. Fenrir, however, is bringing back out that dive with the Tracer and the Echo. So a couple of different looks here. You got to figure, though, double shield is really hard to displace in this first point.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm excited to see what Carlos and Prim are able to pull out with these picks. We saw them on Volskaya on these heroes. And Carlos was able to make a decent amount of space to allow their tanks to push forward. And let's see if they're able to recognize the double shield here and see if they're able to make that same space and create a lot of room for the rest of their team to come in just by annoying the crap out of the back line of Monarch.
Map 3 is underway here, and we see the rollout again on the dive for Fenrir. Monarch on the double shield. It's going to be a tough comp to dive into with both the Ashe and the Torbjorn applying pressure on Fenrir here. We'll see if they maybe make any changes as they're taking it very slow off the start here. They do. They come out now on the Wrecking Ball for Thor. A big change over there. We see the Mercy now coming out from Gusty, shifting away from the Brigida. So a little bit of a change here for Fenrir as they look to find a way to get an advantage on this double shield.
I really like this swap because Thor can go in and displace a lot of these players that are sitting right next to each other. So if Thor is able to push someone out of position, that's a free dive, just like they did on Storm.
Great play there from Thor to initiate, get Storm off the high ground, It's going to start opening up opportunities, but Carlos taken down by the Torbjorn turret. That can be such a nuisance for any Tracer player. The turret's now dropped by Seb, but the damage may already be done here. Thor slams in with that pile driver, and it does manage to get out thanks to that shield. But again, it's hard to get in against this comp. You just got to try to make an opportunity.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see if they're able to do something about that turret, and it looks like we do have Carlos swapping over to the Soldier, which is a better pick to, you know, they can poke out that turret a little bit more and kill it a lot better than a Tracer can, you know, on their own. So let's see if Carlos is able to get some kind of off angle, and we have Thor setting up behind the enemy lines here, looking for some kind of PB, but they end up going down real quick.
They did drop very quick there, Mosaic with the killing blow. But we do see a couple ults now coming on up for both teams. Storm and CTW very close to theirs with that Molten Core and the Amplification Matrix. But Thor is sitting on those mines, Prim on the copy, Gusty on that, on the Valkyrie, and Sabotura as well on the Nano Boost. There's a lot of ultimates coming in right now, and it could really flip the tide here for Fenrir.
I think the copy on behalf of Prim is going to be very important if they actually end up copying.
Oh, the mines do so much work there as Thor swings it on the ball and finds two with that fantastic set of mines. You see, ultimate's still being invested with Monarch, but it looks like it's a completely lost fight as both the Molten Core and the Amplification Matrix put in, as well as the Gravitic Flux from Gizmo. We do see a couple of changes now, or a change here with Storm slipping over to the McCree, but Fenrir right now is back in control.
I don't know how much I like that copy from Prim, and they're probably sitting there kicking themselves in the butt. They didn't need that copy whatsoever, and it was kind of a wasted ultimate. But it doesn't matter because Prim is able to get the pick up onto Sycon here, so they're just creating more space for themselves.
Look at all the space they have created. They've completely taken control of point 2 as Monarch now is trying to find a way to regain a presence on this high ground, but that's a lot of pressure right now from both Seb and Thor. The Sigma ball comp, which really has kind of fallen out of favor, but they're working at a strong level of effectiveness. We see the bongos now dropped here by Lunar, putting a lot of doubt and a lot of damage now on the Fenrir, but that's going to be enough to just push them back just for a minute, just to relax on the cart a little bit. It's not really resulting in the kills.
We see Mosaic walking back from spawn. They did get picked early, so they committed the bongo to kind of stabilize and make a little bit of room, but it's not going to stop Fenrir from walking in here.
Oh, and here comes the attack visor from Carlos, helped out with the pile driver from Thor, the nano boost from Sabotura, pops up some targets from Monarch, and we see a couple drop as well, but Sycon manages to keep Thor on the ropes here. Prim
on the flank.
Prim goes with the copy onto the Brigitte, probably had to do it. And he's in a tough spot here. Will they get the rally up? Yes, they do, but Thor finds three with a huge landmines again. Thor doing absolutely dominant right now on this wrecking ball.
Thor, you know, the amount of utility that the tanks are getting last map is substantial. Thor showing that they can do that on any comp that they're playing. Whereas, you know, the tanks on behalf of Monarch are just kind of existing right now and just holding space, but not necessarily getting a ton of value. So let's see if they're able to turn that around with the Sig Hog comp. Kind of an interesting one, but looking to get picks with the Hanzo and the Roadhog.
Definitely a different change up here. We see a huge Gravitic Flux from Seb. Well placed. Takes Sycon out. Well done there from Seb. Seb looking fantastic on that off tank here for Fenrir, doing a ton of work right now for that team. They've been a huge pickup for them, obviously. Carlos right now is putting a lot of pressure up, but Prim finds three. And just Monarch with just a consistent, aggressive, high-tempo dive is just setting themselves up here for a great time. 2 minutes and 49 seconds.
I love how committed Fenrir is here. You know, they start a fight and they commit to a target and they end up taking it down. They commit to pulling back, to giving a little space to wait out a bongo on second point and then pushing through with their own ultimates and winning second point. And I love how committed they are to finish this out. They were all, you know, super organized and super conscious of what they were doing. And you absolutely love to see it. Monarch looking a bit lost, and I kind of think the hog pick from Lunar was just, it may have been out of frustration from the fact that, you know, they felt like they may not have been getting all that much value on the, you know, on the Orisa that they were previously. So you know, sometimes if you're getting pushed really quick on one of these payload maps, you pull out the hog to see if you can get a quick hook, a quick pick, and open up a little bit of room for your team, but it doesn't end up working out in their favor. And Monarch, you know, they got pushed all the way to through third with 2 minutes and 49 seconds left. That's absolutely crazy time for Fenrir here, and if I was Fenrir, I'd be feeling really good about myself.
You gotta feel good if you're in Fenrir shoes right now. They're sitting really pretty, and Monarch needs to answer. It's a big momentum play right here for them now. They've got to find a way to clutch up, and we'll see if they can pull it off here. But Fenrir is absolutely in the driver's seat now, setting up for point B, or setting up, sorry, for their attack. Pardon me. And here we go. It looks like they're coming out on a bit. It looks like 6-man coming out here now for Monarch, and we see it back to that kind of back to that dive for Fenrir, and I like that. I like that move for them.
Yeah, definitely not a standard comp we see on attack. You know, 6-man usually want to play heroes that can all go together, and they have that advantage here. So let's see if they're able to capitalize on that.
But Lunar is dropped almost instantly, but the rest of the damage. Look at that aggression here, moving as a pack, just sweeps through Fenrir. And well set up play there. Lunar does pay with their life, but it's just still just far too much damage for Fenrir to stand up to, and Monarch does what they need to do. They get the very quick cap here on point A.
Lunar jumps into that hallway, forcing Fenrir into that hallway as well. And even if it trades their own life, you know, they have all of that focus fire coming into that hallway that's able to pick off 3 that are just trapped in there on behalf of Fenrir. So absolutely crazy play. Even though they go down, it's a totally worthwhile trade if they trade 1 for 4.
Fenrir right now is pushing the aggression on the Monarch. Has not been able to find any kills on that initial push, but they're setting up now here as Fenrir tries to stabilize out, tries to get a little bit more momentum back in their favor now. As Carlos putting in very close to that Deadeye here, could set up a nice counter to some of the aggression you see. Oh, what a 2-tap from Carlos on the Storm, and that's gonna send Monarch falling back here with a big source of damage. Correct me, I was wrong. They continue the aggression as Mosaic finishes off Carlos. There is no pulling back right now if you are Monarch. They're continuing to pile on the aggression. Here comes Thor with the Primal Rage, being answered by the Coalescence of CTW. CTW putting lasering through the high ground there, but not able to find any kills. But Lunar is swinging around, popping the Primal Rage of their own. The juggle on the Gusty. Gusty trying to stay alive. They cannot. And Monarch has done fantastic and continue to do so here as they push through point B. And what a quick time we're seeing from Monarch right now. They're at 5 minutes and 40 seconds going to point C.
I've been saying this all night. One team starts off doing something really strong and the other one turns around and says, I can do it better. And Monarch is definitely proving that here. Able to get second with, like Yeti said, 5 minutes and 30 seconds, which is an absolutely crazy time. And 6-man usually isn't that successful on this map because, you know, someone's got to sit on payload, but 6-man is everybody going at the same time.
What an EMP there. Storm follows up with the Death Blossom. The EMP Blossom there. And look at the momentum now look at the momentum right now for Monarch. You see Thor does stall out the card for a little bit, so it's going to buy some time for Fenrir to come back out, but Monarch is just sweeping through right now, and they have the sound barrier and the self-destruct to finish this off.
Seb does have the self-destruct here. Let's see if they're able to get their signature 3K on it, 3K, 4K, something like that. They're committing 2 bombs to this fight.
Seb has 3 bombs. Pardon me, we saw bombs everywhere. Diva Max is floating all over the map. Seb finds 2. Another high-value bomb from Seb, including getting rid of that Moira. But Storm finds Sabotura, both big healing sources down now for both teams. But it does look like, yes, Fenrir is going to stabilize out here. 4 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock. Finally, some defense.
Yes, definitely. And 3 bombs in 1 fight is absolutely crazy. Prim and Seb both had, Prim copied Gizmo on the Diva. They got bomb the same time that Seb threw their bomb, Prim threw theirs, and we had 2 bombs on behalf of Rangarok Fenrir, but they were only able to find CTW, who was on the Moira there, wasn't able to fade out of either one of them. So only 1 kill with 2 bombs from Fenrir here, which is, you know, I guess it's enough. Like, yeah, it was enough.
You know, sometimes it's not the number of kills, it's the value of targets. ECW does finish off that immortality field, and the tank line is already down now for Fenrir. Just gets overextended and punished hard by this brawl from Monarch. Sound barrier now in. Prim back another quick copy. It's going to be huge. Self-destruct already up as well. Going to be looking for an opportunity to use it. They do pop the self-destruct here. They shifted out of their copy. A big kill on this icon now as Sabotura managed to keep the team up for all that damage with the help of an amplification matrix, and that's going to stabilize out there nicely for Fenrir as they get a team kill.
Monarch pushed in really strong there. They swapped to the brawl and pushed in, got a few picks. They said, you know, our 6-man's good, but our brawl is better. But it didn't matter because, you know, Prim got that copy really quick, was able to make space in the Diva and got the bomb that got a pick. And like you said earlier, it doesn't matter it doesn't matter how many you get. It matters the value of the person that you kill.
The sped up Deadeye coming out now for the Cowboy. Mosaic right now is trying to find a target, cannot. Earth Shatter comes out from Door Trap, finds a couple, but his answer down there.
Bigger.
What an Earth Shatter there from Lunar. And we see the self-destructing from Gizmo to finish the job here. And there's the team kill to finish things off. 2 minutes and 20 seconds, rounded back down to 2 minutes. Because we can't tolerate another overtime round, can we?
I don't know. I hope we don't see it for our sake, Yeti, but I think for the teams it's gonna end up going that way, and it's gonna be a really close match, you know. And this isn't something that we really anybody anticipated going into it, which is why I love Tranquility. You know, Monarch sitting at 2-4, Fenrir sitting at 4-2. It kind of looked in favor of Fenrir on paper, but the fights themselves are so incredibly close. It's unpredictable. Some of these teams in Tranquility, you know, they could just have a bad run. They could be inconsistent. They could pick up new players that end up doing a lot better than previous players or anything like that. And you know, Monarch is a team that, you know, I think was really under-repped, and they're showing, hey, we're here to fight. We're here to take on teams that are 4-2. We're here to try to tank dip everybody and get a ton of value, and they're showing that they can do it.
They really are. Huge play from Monarch to get that back. They do come in with a slight time disadvantage, and they will attack first. But with how much defense we've seen from both these teams, I wouldn't be shocked if we have a 6-6 here somehow.
That would be an absolutely phenomenal match, in my opinion. And we do see the 6-man on Monarch with Monarch again. And like I was saying earlier, I think this is really only good for first point because you're all going in at the same time. But somehow they made it work when the payload was actually moving. But 6-man, you want all 6 players to go in at the same time. And if you're doing that, you're not pushing cart. So it's interesting how Monarch was able to make that work anyways.
You see the 6-man again here from Monarch. Thor, though, my God, look, he's already got his Earth Shatter. We've been in this map for 20 seconds. We've been here for 20 seconds, and Thor's already got oh my God, Thor. My goodness.
I don't think there's anybody on any Overwatch team, whether it's Owl or Tranquility, that can out-track the fact that Thor already has Shatter. Everybody is I think this is going to be a really surprise Shatter for Fenrir here, and you know, the fact that they don't have it means that they're not going to be playing. The Monarch is not going to be playing defensively, and I think there's going to be a big dive match.
I think we're going to see it. Oh no!
Or he shatters the shield.
Or he shatters into the shield. Lunar with the big block there. Thor built up that shatter so fast though. But Carlos on the off angle does find Storm, putting a lot of damage out, but it's going to be answered now. We see the duel from the Cowboys here, and Carlos finishes it off. But Sycon answers there. It's still just not quite enough here for Monarch as Fenrir continues to hold strong.
Fenrir is definitely, you know, planting their feet and holding still. Thor already halfway to another Shatter. He just used it. You know, it's absolutely crazy that he already is at 55.
Look at the ult situation right now. It's just a huge disadvantage for Monarch. We see 4 ultimates right now to 0 for Monarch. They're going to get a couple in this fight, but press Q and win for here comes 4 ultimates at once.
Zeb with another 2K.
So much here.
The big Shatter.
But it's not enough. Too many ultimates right now from Monarch, and it's just going to be far too much for sorry, too many ultimates for Fenrir, pardon me, and Monarch just not going to be able to answer. And we see the full hold here. That's a huge defense for Fenrir. They guarantee themselves at least a tie on this match.
Absolutely, and Fenrir, they didn't even need to use the Shatter. They pressed Q 5 times and were able to win it because Monarch came into that fight with 0 ultimates. They were really close to a window. They were really close to a Shatter, and the Shatter was big for Lunar, but it doesn't matter because they're the last one alive. It's the same thing with using a Mei ult. You know, when you're the last one alive, it could get a handful of people, but there's no way in heck you're surviving that and getting all of those kills. But
So,
last resort, definitely.
I just looked back on the stream, and I just saw that on the delay. Thor had the Earth Shatter in 15 seconds.
Jeez.
I have never ever seen a Shatter built up so fast in Overwatch. So
That's gotta be a tranquility record. Can we look back in the archive and see if you know?
I'm gonna go ahead and just claim it is. Yeah. Yes. We'll check the archive. Booth has nothing better to do tonight, right? So we'll put Booth on it, and we'll get back to you on the results. So
we just got the results back, and it does look
yes,
like
it does look good. Yes, it does look good.
Look like a world record, a trank record.
Yeah.
For 15-second shatter is absolutely insane. You don't even see that on Overwatch League. Like,
no, well, that's because teams don't usually just rush into to the Rhinehammer like that.
that's fair enough.
But you gotta, Fenrir right now has all the cards in their favor. Finally getting to push through here. They have an opportunity. It's a big one. Monarch needs to clutch up big on this defense to make map 4 the big decisive map. But here we go now as Fenrir pushing through. Looks like setting up for a main push while Monarch is holding onto that high ground. Here comes the main push as well.
Wall see them early.
Wall very early, not really getting a whole heap of value as well. The Immortality Field invested from CTW. That's going to be a big cooldown out of the way here. But we see an Immortality Field now in from Sabotura also dropped, but it does save Thor. And Carlos finds Lunar. Ooh. Carlos finds another here, tapping Mosaic on the Cowboy, and that's going to be enough, I think. Yeah. Oh, but a huge reback there. It's not necessarily over. Gizmo with a big momentum shift. If they're able to hold on just a little bit longer, they are not, however. Here comes the Wrecking Ball from Lunar trying to stall it out. Sound barrier now in from Gusty, and Carlos is holding onto that Deadeye, and it doesn't look like they're even going to need it. And Monarch, oh, I spoke too soon. There's the Tracer coming in. There's the stall. CTW on the Moira taken down as well. Here comes the Deadeye from Carlos. It's high noon, folks, and takes down Storm. Self-destruct in now from Seb. Finds another kill on the Gizmo. The stall continues right now for Monarch. They are not giving up on this point, just trying to find a pick to enable them to be able to flip this map. But it's a tough sell right now as if you look at the health pools for Fenrir, they're barely moving.
Yeah, this is, definitely winnable for Monarch, kind of. Well, they have the beat drop.
It's a big sound barrier right there. Mosaic is sitting on the pulse bomb as well. There's ultimates coming if they can make it, but Thor with the big Earth Shatter. There's a Blizzard as well. That's going to slow things down quite a bit. The Wrecking Ball is in, dropped, and there it is. Fenrir takes Numbani in a banger of a map.
That was a long last fight, but I don't know if you realize Fenrir had 2 beats in about 2 minutes during that entirety of that fight. And that's the easy thing about playing Lucio on point, is you don't have to amp speed, you can amp heal, which is the fastest way to get your...
There it is, there's the Earth Shatter right there.
Oh, there
Sorry, it was 17, yeah, 40% from a single fire strike. It was 17 seconds. Pardon me, I was just slightly off there.
17-15 doesn't even come close to the second place record holder right now.
Yes, that was insane from Thor. My goodness, guys, I don't know what to say. That was a heck of a map. We have been thoroughly entertained tonight, guys. I have to say I did not necessarily expect this kind of match tonight. It has been just uppercut after uppercut, haymaker after haymaker for these guys. And again, the tank play shines, but a player who really stood out to me that last map, the DPS of Fenrir, they stepped up.
Definitely. The first 2 maps were definitely a tank game. It was whoever's tank could pressure out the other ones more, can make the most space, do the most damage, get the most utility. But we really saw Prim and Carlos and Storm, and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on who was the other DPS for for Monarch there? Because they swapped
Storm
out.
and
so-
Mosaic.
Storm and
we're gonna, we're gonna see Hanzuki back in now for Monarch.
That is right, but you know, both DPS on both sides definitely pulled their weight, and Fenrir, you know, Prim and Carlos doing a lot of work there and able to bring it back and make it a 2-1.
It's been a great night so far. This has been a high energy match from both teams, putting on a very entertaining match here. But we're going now to another high intensity map, and that is Junkertown.
It's one of my favorite maps because we get to see Widow. Hopefully we get to see Widow, which is one of my favorite heroes to play. And, you know, this is a map that's usually pretty consistent with double shield, double sniper with the Hanzo Widow or the Hanzo Ashe. So it's going to be interesting to see what both teams play. And right now it seems like both teams are kind of favoring the Brawl, or at least it seems like the ones that they're most consistent on. So we'll see if either team is going to be making that flex to double shield, or if they're just going to run it down the Brawl and just run it straight down mid.
We see Fenrir coming out now. They're bringing back in Vila on that support in for Gusty, as well as Guo, Milk Lover, and Hanzuki in now for Monarch, taking out Saikon, CTW, and obviously Mosaic, who unfortunately had to leave for the night. But Hanzuki is in now on that DPS. And, you know, Monarch, they're still in a good spot. They still have an opportunity. This is their map pick, so you got to figure they have some good strategies, feeling confident in their Junkertown. And, you know, the thing with Junkertown, again, is we go to another map where the Brawl really isn't favored, but that didn't really seem to stop the team's last map, did it?
Yeah, they still ran it down anyways, and
No.
both teams still excelled on it. So it'd be interesting if they make that, you know, if they can make Brawl work on this map, or if they're making adaptations to play something a little bit different.
Now, we do see the Wrecking Ball came out very strong for Fenrir on the last one. Thor looking really good on that ball. And, you know, that's something necessarily we did not see a whole lot of last season from Fenrir, is that Wrecking Ball being used as successfully as it was tonight. But Thor's doing a fantastic job. Obviously, he's been hitting the lab on that hero. But I got to say, it's Monarch has a lot of work to do to come back here. But we're watching, again, like you called it, double shield, double sniper.
The even matchup on either side here, and it looks like Vela might be going to the Mercy. It could be a bit of a troll. We're not sure because they're not out of their spawn yet for another 30 seconds. But you know, it's going to be interesting to see which team can come out on top. Kind of with double shield, the main point of it is your tanks hold space, your DPS get the picks. So Prim and Carlos already proving that they're really strong DPS, and they're able to provide the value that their team is looking for. Let's see if they are able to do that here. But you know, we have Storm on the Widow, and there was actually a swap. Hanzuki went from Hanzo to Torb, and that might be in anticipation for maybe that ball comp again with the Tracer, so that might be the reason for the Torb, or it could just be tons of damage for against the shields.
I like the choice, given what they've seen, but obviously that's not what we're looking at here. But here we go. They get the Sonic Arrow, so Carlos knows where they're going to be shooting here on that Widowmaker, puts the pressure onto that high ground, but no success yet, as Seb does find Lunar. Taking down that Orisa early is a very big kill, but Storm answers with the kill onto Carlos. But again, the Mercy is in play for Fenrir, so they're going to be able to reset a lot quicker here on these single picks from Storm.
Storm, you know, already looking like they are going to be the better Widow because they got the pick on Carlos so early and burning Vela's res. We'll see who wins the matchup overall because it's a long map, and it's going to be interesting to see who ends up going on top. Storm gets the kill on Carlos again.
It's worth mentioning Storm has a pedigree in Tranquility of being a strong Widowmaker. We saw there in both the Widowmaker 1v1 tournaments last season and this season. Last season, I believe they were a semi-finalist as well. So they have shown a high level of proficiency on the Widowmaker here, as Storm again gets the better of Carlos. And Storm right now is looking fantastic on this Widowmaker, winning the duels. He's just enabled himself to really open up a ton of pressure now on the Fenrir, and Fenrir is having to peel back.
Yes, Storm is 3-0 on the Widow duel against Carlos, and Carlos, you see, is only 84% with their ultimate, where Storm already has theirs up. I don't think it was necessary to use right away, but sometimes you just have to ego the other Widow by saying, look what I have and look what you don't have. It's the same thing with the Reinhardt duel. When you have Shatter and you ego Shatter, you know, I think sometimes Walls is the same situation where you just burn it because you're saying, look Widow, look how much value I'm getting versus how much value you're getting.
Abatura gets caught out, almost dropped there by Storm. Carlos and Saboteur Carlos and Storm right now continue to trade blows, but Carlos is cheating and using a shield. How dare he? But there it is. Carlos finally gets the better of Storm, but Storm did take down Prim. But that's going to enable Carlos to finally be pumping some shots out here into Monarch's front line. It's going to put a lot of pressure now on Gizmo and Lunar, but Gizmo is not backing down. They continue to put pressure onto Fenrir and they're pushing them back.
It's going to be interesting to see if Gizmo commits the flux here. They're all kind of corralled into a little corner. Honestly, I would probably use that here just to clean up this fight and see if he can force Fenrir to take a reset.
But they do not invest it quite yet. We see the amplification matrix and the bongos put in from Monarch, but they're not finding any big value from it. And Carlos does get the better Storm here. But Hanzuki answers, taking down Sabotura, res in onto Sabotura. Seb gets a big kill there with that Gravitic Flux and finds Milk Lover as well. Seb cleaning out the support line for Monarch, and looks like Fenrir is going to get some card progression here finally on point A.
It's another instance where Seb is putting the team on their back and, you know, making a ton of space, providing a lot of value with their ultimate and with all the damage that they're producing, and giving the opportunity for the rest of their team to clean it up. We saw a 2K from Carlos, a 2K from Thor, you know, possibly even more. It's absolutely crazy the amount of utility that Seb is getting and the space that they're creating and the opportunities that they're creating for their team.
I have to say, Seb, this is their Tranquility debut, and boy, has it been strong so far. We'll see if Seb can continue to put the pressure on here in that debut off-tank role here for Fenrir, doing fantastic so far. And the pressure is back on Monarch now to answer. Storm does find the headshot onto Thor, which is going to push them back just a little bit, but it's going to be now. We see the sights come in now from Carlos, and Storm answers. The Widowmakers looking for each other, but Carlos and Prim are just putting out too much damage right now. And despite Storm winning these Widow duels, they're not winning the fights.
Not at all. They can pick Widow as many times as they want, but it doesn't matter if you get one pick. If the rest of your team falls over from the other 5 that are still alive, then that one pick really doesn't mean a whole bunch when the fight starts going.
And we see right now the Dragon Strike is in play here for Prim. They're watching that high ground. They want to use it, but they're going to have a little bit of restraint. They have control here, and Carlos just continues to find kills on the Widowmaker. They're finally dropped by Hanzuki, but it doesn't seem to matter. Again, they're getting some kills, that DPS line, but the pressure from the tank line of Fenrir is just too much right now.
Like you said, Storm did really well in the Widow 1v1s in the tournament, but you know, it doesn't matter if you're able to kill the other Widow or not. Carlos is showing that they're superior in the Widow because they're able to kill all of the other heroes in the other team. So, you know, you can win the 1v1 all you want, but if the other Widow sits behind a shield and picks 3, then are you really the better Widow? You might be in a 1v1 situation, but...
Exactly. Good work here right now from Fenrir as they continue to push. Monarch has an opportunity to stabilize, has the high ground here on point B. Point C. This is typically where we see some shifts in the comp, but both are still rocking the double sniper. They are not giving up on this. Here comes the bongos now from Lunar Emerald, trying to set up Monarch here to stabilize out, but Prim says no. Prim with the huge Dragon Strike takes down Milk Lover. Guillotine does get that one, or does pick them up here as well. It's going to be a good situation for Monarch. But Carlos, interesting find Storm. Carlos now starts to turn the tide here.
Definitely, and you know, Monarch is every fight able to stabilize and set up, but it doesn't matter because either Prim or Carlos is able to find you know, 1 pick or 2 pick that opens it up for the rest of the team. And like I was saying, Carlos isn't finding the pick on Storm. He doesn't necessarily have to.
Though. Storm with a really nice pick on the Carlos here. They have a window to shoot through now as well, and that's going to put Fenrir now back on the ropes a little bit. Resurrection used by Vila, but we see the pull together and don't see enough follow-up there, but there's a great halt from Lunar. Gizmo putting a ton of pressure now on that front line for Thor and Seb, but they are answering right now. Good support from Sabotura. Here comes the lift, the Gravitic Flux from Gizmo. I'm sorry, from Seb. He does not find a whole lot there, but Gizmo is dropped. Carlos is dropped as well, but not before taking Hanzuki is out as well. They trade up here. Prim pops the Dragon Strike, finds absolutely nothing with that. Unfortunate there, but it does zone out Monarch to have to pull all the way back to the spawn door. And right now, Monarch is 1 minute, and they have Carlos killing Gizmo. Gizmo had that Gravitic Flux. The Resurrection is invested. Long fight here. Does not seem to want to end, Delphi.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a moment to catch your breath from this long fight. It looks like we do have the Flux from Gizmo still. Let's see if they're going to be using it here to clean up the fight. Ooh, big pull from Thor here, getting Smoke Lover into the fight of Carlos.
What a rock on the Gizmo. Prevents the Gravitic Flux from taking hold. Seb starts that out. Prim finds Storm as well. Prim has been doing fantastic on that Hanzo. And we've seen fantastic DPS play from both teams so far. 23 seconds left on the clock. The final push now for Rangarok. The Resurrection is put in on for Storm. The Widowmakers have not given up on the Widow, and Storm finds Carlos. And we see a Resurrection now from Vila. The Mercies are using that button a lot this fight. Gizmo finds Sabotura. That's a big source of healing down now for Fenrir. They try to stabilize out, but they cannot, and that's going to be kind of a C9, but it looked like Monarch was pretty in control of that situation.
Yeah, if I was Monarch, I'd be feeling really good. They got pushed back pretty quick. I believe they went into that with over, I think, 2 or 3 minutes into point 3. But it doesn't matter because they were able to stabilize. They had the spawn advantage. They didn't necessarily always have the ult advantage or the pick advantage, but you know the spawn was right there. They were able to come back quick and were able to stabilize, which is really important, especially against a Widow and a Hanzo. If you get a few picked, just kind of move back a little bit. Just wait for your spawns to come back. Wait for your DPS or your BAP or whoever got picked off to come back before you start going back in and just wasting needless time.
Fantastic production work here from Booth, showing off the streets of Junkertown, including Swagman's Needlepoint. Go there for all your Needlepoint needs. You can find their work on shop@spreadshirt.com/OWTranquility, where also you can buy Tranquility shirts. Pick up a shirt today. Why don't you pick up yourself a Monarch shirt today? I think that'd be a pretty good buy. Monarch looking fantastic, or a Fenrir shirt as well. Again, shop.spreadshirt.com/OWTranquility or !store in the Discord. I know if I said NPC take it, he would probably just type it in chat for me right now. So NPC, type it in chat for me. Great, thank you, buddy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's probably already done it a few times. So, but here we go, Delphi. It's been a night so far. Is it going to come to an end, or does Monarch have another miracle in them?
I honestly think Monarch can pull it out. You know, they've Storm proving to be good on the Widow, and let's see if they are able to get those picks. But it doesn't look like Fenrir is playing the Widow, the Widow duel. They're playing with the Ashe Hanzo here, but Thor is able to get a slam and bring down Hanzuki, which is a pretty big pick starting out. That's a lot of damage gone.
The Wrecking Ball defense here from Fenrir. I like the mix-up here. Definitely going to keep Monarch a little bit more on the ropes. Thor can really displace the backline out here on that double shield. It's going to make it harder for them to get set up where they want to be. So I like the play from Thor here. It's a good move, but right now the cart continues to push through point A, and no kills are really traded in for either team. As I say, go figure. That Vila falls, and we're trading out Delphi.
Another one of those fights where it's just one person goes down, then the other team goes down, and we end up with 2 people on point, one from each team, and you never know how it's gonna go.
It does look like, as of right now, it is working out in the favor of Monarch, but just ever so slightly. We could see another kill here. That'd be fantastic. But Thor finds Hanzuki, and again, it's just, as much as it's kind of moving forward for Monarch, Fenrir is not giving up. They are hanging on to this, and as I say that, though, Vila is dropped. We see another great, nice little ball tech there from Thor, setting up that nice pile driver on the edge. But it's just still too much damage, and they're forcing Monarch. Forcing Fenrir back. We see the Bob invested now from. I'm kind of surprised by that Bob from Carlos.
Yeah, I think they use it as a stall point to get everybody back, and it ends up working out because it's stalled out point.
Wow,
and they
here
can
we
get
go.
A few kills.
My goodness, and a couple kills actually. I did not expect this, including a healer, but Seb was dropped by Milk Lover, putting in a lot of work on that back team. We see the Gravitic Flux dropped by Gizmo here, and they send Vila and Sabotura to the ground. And no heals now for Monarch, and you gotta love this position now for Monarch. You gotta love this position for Monarch.
Yeah, the only ultimates they have going up though are the sights from Storm and the aimbots coming on from Hanzuki. But it looks like on the other side, on Fenrir, they have a lot of ults coming up. They have what is it? The Valk from Vela. They have the Gravitic Flux, and they have the mines. If they get a Flux mine here, it'd be absolutely massive. Even if you can swipe out the tanks with it, that'd be a really big entry pick. Speaking of entry picks,
Prim has been finding Storm a lot tonight. It's not a Widow duel, it's been the Widow Hanzo, but Prim has been winning a lot of these fights for them so far. Prim's Hanzo has been doing a ton of work, and you gotta love it for Fenrir right now. They managed to stabilize out a little bit here, but nonetheless, the pressure continues for Monarch, and we see the mines now put in by Storecraft, and we also see the Dragon Strike in from Prim, and that's just too much pressure onto the team, onto that double shield comp, and they finally forced Monarch back.
Yep, and they ended up committing the mines with the Dragon Strike there. You know, two ults that could be win conditions on their own, but together are definitely a fight win. But Thor ends up getting caught out and going down to Storm and Lunar at the end there, or right at the end of that fight. So it opens up a lot of room for Monarch to start off this next fight with a player up.
Player up right now in the good spot here for Monarch, but Seb does manage to get that Gravitic Flux off, not finding any kills. Here comes Hanzuki, dropping the tactical visor. He hasn't only found one kill on a Saboteur, but it is a big one. But Robert is invested by Carlos, and Carlos finds Storm and Milk Lover as well. Carlos' Bob plus a nice timely headshot onto Storm, and that's going to stabilize out beautifully for Fenrir, and they're in a great spot now to hold this point.
Fenrir is looking really good. They're coming up onto mines, and they have Dragon Strike again, so they could just do what they did a few minutes ago and win the fight just off of those two ultimates. And by that time, they might even have another Bob coming up. So let's see if Monarch are able to push it in. They only have this Flux and the amplification matrix from Milk Lovers.
Oh,
but
what a combo
Wow.
there. A fantastic combo from Fenrir. The pile driver with the Dragon Strike is beautiful. Thor set that up nicely, and Prim knocked him down. They did use the Immortality field, and that is going to let Monarch stabilize just a little bit here. And they do get Thor, so both Wrecking Balls are now down. So team, looks like we do see the pressure will continue right now for for Monarch, but they don't find a lot with that Gravitic Flux and Gizmo.
Yeah, that was kind of a questionable Flux because no one was there to follow up.
I think maybe nerves might be getting the Monarch a little bit. The pressure might be getting a little bit too high, and Carlos finds 2 more kills. Carlos clutching up at a timely spot.
You know, we saw this earlier, but on behalf of Fenrir, they were trying to force engages on the first 2 maps without necessarily taking into consideration the enemy's ult economy or the enemy's cooldown usage. Whereas now the script is kind of flipped. You know, Monarch is trying to force these engages because they're feeling pressured out by the clock, but Fenrir is just sitting on high ground and rotating ults really well. And you know, look at the ult bank here. Monarch has 0 ults except for attack visor coming up. Fenrir has 6 ultimates coming online here. If Fenrir manages to lose this fight,
Oh no, Prim drops early.
it may not happen.
It's last fight here for Monarch, and it's not a good spot. You see the mines put in from Thor right now, and that's going to set up beautifully for Fenrir. But Hanzuki finds Carlos. It's not over yet for Monarch. They are not giving up on this yet. Vila does get the res onto Carlos, so Fenrir is going to stabilize here, and Thor does get the finish onto Hanzuki. We have 10 seconds right now for Monarch. It's desperation time, and they don't have a lot of tools to work with.
Absolutely. We'll see if Monarch is able to pull something out right now, but it's not looking good.
Oh, it is not, and Fenrir right now seems to be sealing the deal. The Gravitic Flux in from Seb, dropping down the Wrecking Ball there, and Lunar trying to hold on the point. The attack visor put in from Hanzuki is not enough, and that spells it. Fenrir drops map 1, but they rally back to take 3 straight, and they take the match 3-1.
What an absolutely crazy match. And, you know, there was a lot of tank play going on in the first 3 maps, but we really saw Prim and Carlos turn it around at the end, and those were the ones that were really taking advantage of, you know, Monarch there. They were able to get a lot of picks and just open up the field for the rest of their team.
They really did a fantastic job. Prim and Carlos stepping up in a big way at the very end there. Tough loss for Monarch as they drop to 0-2 this stage. Fenrir right now sets themselves up at 1-1 going into the last bit of this stage here. So Fenrir right now gotta be feeling good, sitting on that 1-1 record here in stage 2. Monarch 0-2. Nonetheless, still both teams will be playoff teams, as we know with the current format. But I gotta say, both teams put on a heck of a show tonight.
And if I was Monarch, I would not feel discouraged. Honestly, I wouldn't even feel disappointed because they put on one hell of a show, and they've showed that they were able to compete with a team that has a much better record on paper than them. So, you know, the fact that they were able to hold their own and win a lot of fights decisively and, you know, a lot of the maps were super close. I would feel really proud if I was Monarch because they had a lot to prove this match, and I think they did it.
Fenrir represents the Rangarok org well tonight, setting themselves up beautifully moving forward here in stage 2. Gotta say, Delphi, who was your standout player tonight for both teams?
You know, at the end, we saw a lot of stuff coming from Prim and Carlos, but I have to give it to Seb for Fenrir as, you know, their all-star player of the night. Seb just got a lot of value on the Diva we saw on Volskaya Industries. Got a ton of value at the end there with the gravitic fluxes and making all the space on the Sigma. On behalf of Fenrir, I'd have to give it to Seb. But for Monarch there, I have to give it to Lunar. The fact that they just WM1'd on Ryan for majority of like most of the maps and winning a lot of these fights and you know, definitely putting Thor through his paces with the counter Ryan. For Monarch, you know, I got to give it to Lunar.
I think Seb absolutely had the debut of a lifetime today. You got to love what you're seeing from that team. They're looking great. Fenrir looked really strong tonight, but Monarch certainly was no slouch, guys. It was a great night. We've had a fantastic show. Stay tuned, by the way, coming up just shortly after this. The stream will be resetting up here. We're going to have the beat drop with Kat and Jack with some interviews and some rap here for week 2 of stage 2. But moving forward again, next week, make sure to tune in on Monday for the Iris podcast, where we'll be dropping your end of season award nominees. So make sure to tune in for that, guys. But for Delphi and our fantastic producer Booth, I'm Mr. Yeti, and we will see you guys again very soon. Thanks very much.